Hey everybody, this is a lower body circuit with 30 different squat variations. So we are going to be working all the different muscles in your legs, and by the end of this circuit, your legs should be feeling real shaky and expect to be sore the next day. All right, let's go. The first exercise is a basic squat. We're doing 10 of these. Make sure you're sitting back, weight is on your heels, and your knees do not go over your toes. You want to make sure your chest is up and your back is nice and straight. Next up is a squat with one pulse at the bottom. With every squat motion we're doing, you really want to make sure that your weight is on your heels and that you are sitting back, unless I say otherwise. So 10 reps of this. Now you're going to hold it down and do a slow pulse 10 times. So up an inch, down an inch, nice slow tempo for 10 reps. Now you're going to step out, back into narrow squat, step out to the other side, narrow squat. You're driving this through your heels, so you should be able to actually wiggle your toes through this movement. This is working your glutes. Now you're going to come into a wide squat, toes slightly pointed out, and you're doing 10 traditional wide squats, popping your hips out at the top. Now, same as before, you're going to add one pulse at the bottom. Really make sure you're sitting deep into the squat. So you want to sit back, and again, your weight's always on your heels, and your knees are behind your toes. Now you're going to do a slow pulse, up an inch, down an inch, sitting back into your heels. 10 reps of this. Your thighs should be on fire at this point. Stand up, little break, and then we're going into our next exercise, narrow squat to a side leg lift. With the narrow squat, it's a little bit harder to keep the weight on your heels, so really be focused on that. The side leg lift is working your glute. At 10 reps, you're going to now lift your knee, so same side, working your hip flexors now. So squat, drive your knee up to hit your elbow. 10 reps of this. Now you're going into a narrow squat, leg lift on the other side. 10 reps of this exercise. Once you hit 10, you're then going right into driving your knee up to hit your elbow. 10 reps of that. Now I'm going to readjust my feet. I'm going to bring my feet together and my knees together, and I'm doing a half squat 10 times. So you're working your inner thighs here. Like always, you're sitting back into your heels. Your knees are well behind your toes, and you're doing 10 half squats. Now you're going to do a little pulse at the bottom and then up halfway. Little pulse, up halfway, 10 times. If you need to come out of it at any point or you're losing your form, that's okay. Rest your legs and go right back into it. Now you're going to just pulse it out 10 times. Knees and feet together. Try to maintain your balance here. If you need to hold on to something, that's okay as well. All right, now you're going to have a wide stance with your legs. and you're going to touch the ground lightly, but you're not putting any pressure on the ground. So you're still driving through your heels, and you're just going to pop your butt up about 3 inches and then back down to 90 degrees. You're doing 10 reps of this. Your knees are going to naturally pop forward a little bit, but really try to keep them in line with your toes. Now you're going to come up onto your toes, and you're going to do the exact same movement here. So again, you really want to make sure that your hands are just on the ground to support yourself. You're not putting weight into it. And really keep your knees right in line with your toes. You're doing 10 reps of this. For the next exercise, you're doing the same motion that we did before with your heels on the ground, but this time you're going to pop yourself up in between each squat. So your hands are on the ground, you're doing 1 pulse, and then you're popping your hands up and doing 1 pulse. So again, make sure your knees are well behind your toes, and when you're coming up, you're trying to sink your butt all the way down to 90 degrees. So this should really be burning out your thighs here. So your thighs and butt should be on fire at this point. Shake your legs out. If you need to pause for a minute, that's all right. And then we're going to get right back into it. This time you're going to have a wide stance with your feet, and you're going to go side to side in a side lunge. You're not coming all the way up in the middle, so you're staying low with bent legs the entire time, knees staying behind the toes. This is targeting your inner thighs. Now you're going to maintain an even wider position, and you're going to come down into 1 pulse and then up halfway. So 1 pulse, up halfway. Your knees are pointed out, your toes are pointed out in an angle. You're doing 10 reps of this. So again, 1 pulse and then halfway up, so you're not coming all the way up. Now you're going to hold it here for a couple seconds before we transition into the next exercise. From here, you want to point your toes forward now. You're going from a squat to a leg lift. Your legs are wider than before when we did this, and you're never coming fully up. So when you're lifting your one leg, your other leg is under full tension. You're doing 10 reps of this. Now come into a squat again, and you're going to do 10 reps on the other side. Again, you're not standing all the way up, and you're driving through your heels with this one. And we have a little visitor there. And another visitor. All right, next exercise is going to be a narrow squat into a wide squat with a little hop in between. When you do the hop, you're going to tilt forward and put the pressure into your hands. You want to make sure that when you squat, you're rocking back onto your heels so that your knees are staying well behind your toes. Again, every time you do the little hop, you're going to rock forward and put the pressure on your hands. So this should be a real big burn in both your glutes and your thighs. You're doing 10 reps of this. 1 narrow squat, 1 wide squat is 1 rep. So important that you keep your knees behind your toes so that you're not hurting your kneecaps. All right, shake your legs out. You should be burning here pretty bad. We're almost through with this circuit. Next up, you're going to do a narrow squat hold, and you're going to pop your heels forward, alternating heel touches. You're doing 10 reps each side with this. Again, all of the pressure is on the heels, especially when you're holding the squat. Now you're doing a traditional squat to a heel raise, up onto your toes. So squat, heel raise, squat, heel raise. So we're working our calves here. Make sure you're sitting back into the squat. You're doing 10 reps of this. Now you're going to a wide squat, touching the ground in the middle, up to a heel raise. So working the inside of your thighs as well as your calves here. Really keep your back straight so your torso's coming down when you touch the ground. 10 reps of this. Now you're going to stay in that wide plie squat, but you're going to stay up onto your toes. So this is definitely a balance drill, and you're going to pulse it out 10 times. Your knees are pointing out, and they're staying behind your toes like normal. Now you're going to come back down onto your heels, and you're going to give it one pulse in the middle, up onto your toes. Down one pulse, up onto your toes. Try to keep your back straight here, chest up. We're working your inner thighs as well as your calves. All right, I promise we're in the home stretch here. You're going to come down onto your knees. I want you to stand up with both feet back onto your knees. So when you're standing up, you want to drive with your heels first so that your knees are not popping forward. So when you stand up, all of your weight is shifting back. This is very important because if you shift your weight forward, you're putting too much pressure onto your knees. Try to alternate sides if you can. This is definitely a big glute burn as well as a thigh burn. You're doing 10 reps of this. All right, final exercise. You're coming down for a 10-second squat hold, and then you're going to come up, down 10 seconds, and come up and down 10 seconds. Up, down. Come up and back down into the squat. I'm just cueing you here for time. Come up, back down, chest up, weights in the heels. Come up, back down, hold it, 10 seconds. Up, back down, hold it. Come up, back down, hold. Up, last one. 10-second hold, and come up.